won't cold. Drinking from that water, burning from the smoke. Close your eyes.
I'm Michael Jones. I play keys in the band.
I'm Aric. I play guitar and I'm the singer.
I'm Ben and I play bass, and the last four is 6, 7, 5, 4.
I'm John and I play guitar.
I'm David. I play drums.
So how did you guys meet and how did you guys get together?
So Aric and I actually grew up together. I've known him since I was like 7 years old, and we started bands throughout high school with this guy and with him throughout middle school, and then after college, Aric and I kind of got together and we're like, let's just start writing music together. So we like eventually found these other talented musicians kind of in the area, whatnot, through friends and whatnot, and then just kept going with it. We went on tour, and now we're here in Sacramento.
Kings of Leon meets Bruce Springsteen. Does that sound about right? Or is there some other things you want to put in that?
We'll take it. Well, I think we all have a wide variety of stuff we bring to the table. I think the very first thing that comes to it is we get the cinematic thing a lot. You know, I think that starts from Aric and Michael starting this thing early on, writing a lot of projects for student films, and even early on in the band, we got a lot of placements in TV and movie, and so that element is impossible to ignore, but we all listen to different things. It's funny you mentioned Bruce Springsteen and Kings of Leon, because I love Bruce and Eric's a huge Kings of Leon fan, and I love Kings of Leon too. So, but yeah, we each all bring a little bit to the table, and the most important thing I think is that we can put our own spin on it, and that's something that's uniquely us. And rather than just emulating somebody else, you know, we take everything that we like about the stuff we listen to and the stuff we grew up with and the stuff we're discovering now and put out a product that really speaks to ourselves as well as everybody else.
Talk a little bit about the name, the Brevet, and what other names didn't make the cut.
The name the Brevet. Originally it came from I'm a huge Civil War buff, and the Brevet was a rank that was given largely in the Civil War out of honor and merit. And when you got that rank, you never necessarily didn't receive the pay for the work that you had to do. So initially, it kind of came about where we were doing this because we loved doing it, and it was not necessarily about the money or fame or any kind of acclaim like that. It's because we love doing it at the end of the day. And names that missed the cut. I don't know. I think we threw around where we grew up one time. Remember that we were talking about the Summit and other things like that, but none. They all sounded pretty awful, so we stuck with the Brevet. Yeah. John wanted to name it Skeptic Tank. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't. No. That was Ben and Michael's high school band. But that didn't make the cut.
Talk a little bit about the Rising Star Award.
So Irvine Unified School District is where all three of us attended high school. Oh, that didn't make sense, did it? So all three of us attended high school. That's right. High school, middle school, elementary school through Irvine Unified Schools and Irvine Public Schools Foundation. They raise a ton of money, and they're part of the reason why Irvine Public Schools have such amazing music programs that all three of us have benefited largely from, all programs in the arts. So basically, that award being given to us by the IPSF was a huge honor, and it just indicated, it was very validating for us that we're being recognized as a band that's kicking some butt from Irvine, and a product of that whole, of what they're donating money to, essentially. Yeah.
You guys want to go individually and talk about who got you into music? What got you into music?
So initially, I started on violin as a young child. My parents made me do it. And then later on, I decided to quit and then go into piano in like 6th, 7th grade, and just started randomly learning guitar. And then Aric and I just started kind of writing music together as we both started learning in each of our instruments. And then since that, I went to high school, kept playing more music and learning a little bit of jazz. And then I did a summer program at Berklee School of Music, which was really interesting. And then I decided to study business instead. But after I graduated college, kept actually going with it and writing and performing, and just love it. Got addicted to it.
For me, I picked up a guitar around 5th grade, I think. Came home one day and my mom told me, you got guitar lessons. So that was the first time I started really taking guitar, I guess, serious. And then I guess from the bands that we were messing around with, singing kind of just happened. I really didn't want to be the singer at the time. Just no one else would do it when you're in 5th or 6th and 7th grade. So I became the singer, and then, I think it was around college when I went to school for theater and film, and started getting vocal coaches due to some theater performances I had to do, and that really helped develop my voice and whatnot. So through that, yeah.
I started playing electric bass when I was around 9 years old, and prior to that I was playing a lot of different instruments, but that I didn't really click with. It wasn't really a good match, and I think I finally found my voice in playing bass. It felt right to me, and I think a part of the reason I started playing was because of bass players like Paul McCartney, who I really idolized. And I remember my dad, who's a guitar player, I remember seeing his band play live when I was a kid, and I got so excited. And then the next week I got sick, and he comes home with a bass. So that was a pivotal moment, and then I started playing double bass and everything bass related, and went to school for music, and loved it all. And now I'm in the Brevet. And then here's John.
Yeah, like Mike, I started on violin lessons when I was 6. I remember I was born in Roanoke, Virginia, and my mom asked me one time if I wanted to take trumpet or violin lessons, and I said trumpet, and the next week she came home with the violin. So it went that way. And then when I was 11, I got a guitar. I went to see a John Fogerty concert with my dad, and the rest is kind of history.
So, I guess like these guys, I started playing when I was a kid, when I was 11, 12 years old. Everyone in my family plays guitar. I come from a Portuguese family, first generation here. So all my cousins on my mom's side, my cousins, my uncles, my mom, they'd all get together and play guitar and sing and whatnot. So that's was my real first exposure to music, around the house. And I tried taking guitar lessons, and it never happened. My brother would try and teach me stuff, and it would just never stick. But in the meantime, I grew up on a dairy farm. I'd go out and find buckets and barrels and stuff and go play drums out there, and listening to music, in the 90s, listening to a bunch of rock. And my brother's a couple years older than me, so I was listening to what he was listening to. And it was obvious I wanted to play drums, so I just saved up money and bought a drum set and started playing. And it's funny you ask, because today these guys got to swing by my house, and they got to watch some videos of my first concert in 7th grade, playing drums and singing, my little shitty parted hairdo, and
He still makes the same facial expressions.
yeah, I guess that never went away. So yeah, same thing like these guys. The rest is kind of history. That was kind of what started it, and then started writing stuff and playing. So
Are the new album, is the latest release, is it a continuation of the previous two? Yeah. You want to talk a little bit about how that is?
Sure. So yeah, that's correct. The third album is called Upholder Chapter 3. So we kind of released, the entire thing is called American Novel, and we released basically 3 EPs for the whole album. So 3 or 4 songs each chapter, and they kind of just are our expansion of our development as a band and growth as a band, and we're trying out different things and continue to change our styles, our sounds, get more comfortable with each other as players and whatnot. And so it's kind of an evolution of the entire thing. So American Novel itself is the whole entity, but Chapter 3 is what we released on last Friday.
Another, I think, cool thing about this, the way we've been doing it, is for our fans. It's been nice to be able to sort of regularly release like little bits of music instead of holding out for a whole year for a full-length album. Is coming out with these EPs where we can come out with 4 or 5 songs. It keeps our audience engaged, So I think that's been another like effective, sort of unique thing that it's been our approach since the beginning, So that's another like testament to what we're doing, I think.
Song, you want to talk a little bit about the songwriting process, how you guys bring about the songs, and talk a little bit about the track listing, how you the track list. Yeah, absolutely. Songwriting and track listing.
So a lot of the times, it's Aric in his house, like writing down like a lyric or coming up with like some sort of chord progression, and then we kind of like jump together and see what's vibing as a group, and then build from there. And we form like this structure. Then we start adding to it while we are in our studio, because we had the luxury of having our own studio that's in Orange County, and we just go in there and we kind of like write as we record and build out the full song. And from the purpose of what the lyrical intents are, that's kind of like what drives the direction of what the music, how the music falls into place. And then once we actually have like all these songs in terms of things that we like love and we're feeling the groove of the songs, we kind of organize them according to what the story and the overarching storyline is from beginning to end, what it feels right in terms of the energy as the beginning. In the beginning of this American novel, it's very slow and building and kind of introduces you to this next album, and then carrying throughout the album. Yeah.
It's also important to remember that we're, all musicians, hopefully, and us, I think all of us are really big consumers of music, and so we try to think about what it would be like for us as a consumer to listen to the album, and what would make it the most enjoyable experience. Because ideally, as a musician, putting music out, even though we're focusing on releasing smaller batches at a time with these EPs, we still want it to be a cohesive coupling of songs, and it to flow nicely and to be a nice listening experience.
And that experience, just because most recently we released our first vinyl, you can really experience that just as the traditional format, listening from beginning to end, unlike the singles game that the digital world has kind of like brought us all to. So it's much different. It's been nice to release a piece of vinyl like that. It's like something you can hang on to, tangible, and then listen to it as well.
Bands that you would love to tour with, artists you would like to interrogate.
I mean, Kingsley, Bruce Springsteen. I love Lord Huron. Any of these cool. I mean, Sister Hazel was amazing. We were able to go on tour with them for 4 dates. We went to Phoenix, Vegas, all over the place. So it's been amazing and such an inspiration to see and learn from them and see how experts really do it on the back end and see how they roll with the punches or they win the crowd over in certain ways and just really engage with everyone on and off the stage. It's just such an interesting learning experience for us. And it was actually really cool because we had played with them before on the Rock Boat, which is a cruise ship that goes from Florida down to the Cayman Islands. And we got to play with Need to Breathe, which is another huge inspiration. And I'm sure these guys have other bands that they love to tour with for other reasons, but I'll just shut up.
I mean, you kind of hit on the head. All those bands are bands that we aspire to tour with or, to be inspired by. And Alabama Shakes, another one. I know Ben loves Dawes, so that's another one as well. So we all have different kind of ones, and we don't want to pigeonhole ourselves in one kind of genre, I guess, would be the thing to remember. But I mean, we all love these certain type of bands. So.
And the funny thing about touring with other bands is everybody kind of like thinks that when you're touring with a band, you're best friends with them and you're talking to them every day and you're on the same bus. And it's really not the case. There's so much that's involved in touring and doing your own thing and running your own operation that a lot of times when you're touring with these bands, it's just kind of a head nod in passing, So the Sister Hazel thing was great because we really got an opportunity to sit down and learn from them and pick their brains a little bit. And it was really cool to kind of say, oh, that's how you do that, from guys that have been doing it since I think they founded in 1993 or something like that. So, and, we founded in 2011 and really started seriously touring about a year ago. So, yeah, I mean, there was a lot for us to learn. So I would say any artist that we get to really take advantage of that opportunity and kind of learn from them and glean their wisdom is a positive opportunity for us.
Song to be played at your funeral and 3 albums to take to your grave.
I would probably funeral song would probably be a Jeff Buckley thing. I'm not sure what, but probably pick a Jeff Buckley song. Songs to take to my grave, albums to take to my grave. John knows this. Ryan Adams, Gold. That's definitely one. Stevie Wonder, Songs in the Key of Life, and I'm gonna stick with those 2 for now before I go down a dark rabbit hole, like 50 albums. But
yeah, man, I don't know about a song to be played at my funeral. I think if I was gonna take a couple albums to my grave, it would be Darkness on the Edge of Town by Springsteen. That one tripped me out a lot as a kid. Cosmos Factory by Creedence. That was one that I kind of grit my teeth on. And, yeah, that's all I got for now,
Well, I'm in a constant existential crisis, and so as a result, I know exactly what song I would have played at my funeral, and that would be Charles Mingus, "Goodbye Pork Pie Hat." And in terms of albums, that's a really tough question. I like that question, but that's tough for me. Definitely like Rubber Soul, I'd say, and Deja Vu, and probably Are You Experienced, or a Hendrix album I'd want to take with me. And I'll probably have another batch tomorrow.
I mean, I think Ben just closed that chapter. I don't really know. I don't know what I would take. Big fan of Elvis Presley. Wanted to be him when I was a kid, so I'd probably have some Elvis Presley song playing, or maybe I'll take a couple of his albums to my grave. But I don't know. I don't know.
Probably anything Earth, Wind, and Fire. I think I would want my funeral to be more of a party than a goodbye. That's the best answer. Yeah.
I just hope you guys come to our shows, check us out live. It's a great experience for us to play for you guys live. So please, we encourage you to come to our shows, find us, talk to us, meet us. We love to meet every single one of our fans coming to our shows and experiencing their stories of how they heard about our music. That's always really, very cool for us. So that's what I would say. That's how I close it.
Warm cold, drinking from that water, burning from your smoke. Oh,